Hello! Have you ever been confused about how to use ya in Spanish? So have I, and so has Daniel here, who kindly wrote a little comment saying, "Hi Victor, great videos. Do you have any on application of ya?" To which I responded, "Not yet, but I'll make it soon." That was 11 months ago. I'm sorry. Let this be an apology video where we will discuss how to use ya and todavía in Spanish. Thank you for joining, and let's begin.
Awooga.
We will start with some nasty definitions. Both ya and todavía are adverbs that... whoa. Okay, I know what you're thinking. What the hell is an adverb? An adverb is a word or phrase that answers the questions when, where, how long, how much, and how often. Some relevant examples for today's lesson are already, yet, still, now, and anymore. As I was saying, both ya and todavía are adverbs that are used to express nuances of time, which may give them, unfortunately, different translations depending on the situation. This is one of the topics where we need to focus on what ya and todavía represent, rather than merely focusing on the translations like a common peasant. So when we use ya, it means that we're trying to show a change or an expectation of change, that is, a change of state from not happened to happened. Meanwhile, todavía is used to indicate that no change took place, even if the change is expected. Let me try again. When we know or expect the change to happen, we can use ya to either confirm that the change has happened or to ask someone whether the change had happened. Or we can use todavía to either confirm that the change has not happened or ask someone if the change had happened. An important note on asking about the change. Even though we don't know if the change happened, when we use ya, we hope that the change did happen. Meanwhile, when we use todavía, we feel more pessimistic because we feel that the change possibly did not happen. As always, it's all about your stupid feelings. Good so far? You better fucking be. Now let's jump to potential translations. Ya can be translated as already, yet, not anymore, no longer, any longer, now. Meanwhile, todavía can usually be translated as still, yet, and sometimes even, but I don't see that often or ever. I'll be honest, I had no idea that people had problems with confusing ya and todavía. Originally, this video was supposed to cover only ya, and that's gonna be the case for the most part. But apparently, the fact that both ya and todavía sometimes can be translated as yet makes people shit their pants and think that they are not good at languages, at learning languages. This way of thinking ends now. We're gonna start by comparing ya and todavía side by side, and then focus entirely on ya, because trust me bro. The first translation of ya is to say already, and the first translation for todavía is to say still. Let's look at some examples. Miguel ya llegó, and Carlos todavía vive aquí. When I tell you that ya means already and todavía means still, you can easily translate these sentences as Miguel already arrived and Carlos still lives here. This is all good, but you probably already know that it will get more complicated pretty soon. And the reason why is because we're trying to blindly rely on translations instead of understanding the idea that these sentences are trying to convey, based on the nasty definitions of ya and todavía. Like we said before, ya is used to describe a change of state, while todavía is used to show that there was no change at all. So when we say Miguel already arrived, it means that Miguel was not here before, but now he is here. Miguel's position or state changed. Meanwhile, when we say Carlos still lives here, it means that Carlos used to live here and continues to live here. Nothing has changed. Let's look at another set of examples. Ya vi esta peli en el cine, and todavía estoy trabajando. The first sentence says I already saw this movie in a cinema, which means that I haven't seen it before until something changed and I decided to watch it. You are showing the change from not seen to seen. The second sentence says I'm still working, which implies that nothing has changed since the moment that I started working. I hope you get the idea. Translation number 2. Both ya and todavía can be used to say yet. This is the reason why we compare them side by side. We will do things a little differently this time. I will give you 4 sentences in English, all of which have adverb yet in them, and I want you to tell me which ones are gonna be translated as ya and which ones are gonna be todavía. The only hint I will give you is to keep thinking about the nasty definitions of ya and todavía, specifically when it has to do with the expectation of change. And while you're thinking, I'm gonna go chill for a bit. Let's go! Despacito. Holy shit! Okay, the break is over. What do you got for me? In the first sentence, we're asking if someone has finished the project, hoping that the answer is yes. We are hoping that the person went from not finished to finished. This happens to be the definition of ya. So what we have is ya terminaste el proyecto. In the second example, we say, have you not finished the project yet? We have the expectation of the project being finished, but we are almost sure that the answer is no, or is gonna be no. If this is what we're expecting, this means that the person's state did not change from not finished to finished. According to the definition of todavía, we have todavía no terminaste el proyecto. Same thing happens in the next two examples. Do you have the answer yet? I don't know, but I'm asking you with the hope or expectation that you do. That makes it ¿Ya tienes una respuesta? Don't you have an answer yet? I expect the answer from you, but I can feel it in my condescending ass that you probably don't have it. This makes it ¿Todavía no tienes una respuesta? Cabrón? I hope this makes sense. There's two more things I noticed while I was writing the text for this video that may help you if you feel confused. First, when we use ya, we have a more positive attitude towards what we are saying. Meanwhile, with todavía, everything has a slightly negative vibe to it. Second, in the examples that you see on the screen, you can easily translate ya as already and todavía as still, just like we saw in the translation number 1. And the meaning will not really change, which is another reason for you not to blindly rely on translations and actually think what ya and todavía represent. Okay, I've got some good news. We're done with todavía, and now we're gonna focus entirely on ya. Let's continue. Translation number 3. Ya can be used to say not anymore, no longer, or any longer. All you have to do is add no after ya, which gives us ya no. Let's see a couple of examples. Ya no como pescado. I don't eat fish anymore. I have to agree, fish is disgusting. But also here, ¿sigues saliendo con Pedro? Ya no. Ya no sé si quiero vivir aquí. In the first sentence, we imply that we used to eat fish, but now we don't, which emphasizes the change of state from eating to not eating. In the second example, someone used to go out with Pedro, but he or she is not doing that anymore, which shows us the change of state from going out to not going out. Finally, in the last example, we show the change of state from knowing that I wanted to live there to not knowing anymore. Do not forget about the nasty definitions, they are very useful. Translation number 4. Ya can be used to say now or later. I know what you're thinking, what do you mean ya can mean both now or later? How is that even possible? To that I say that everything is possible when you just close your eyes and just imagine some random wild shit. Oh yeah, I can smell it everywhere. Here are 2 rules of thumb to help you navigate through ya when it can mean now or later. Rule number 1. If there's a sense of urgency or impatience, then ya probably means now. The verbs in this case will probably be used in the present tense. Rule number 2. If there's a timeline involved, like a future plan, then ya probably means later. In this case, the verbs will probably be used in the future tense, but not always. Let's start with the rule number 1. For example, están llegando ya, por fin, which means they are arriving now, finally. We can see the excitement here that someone is arriving now. The fact that the verbs are in the present tense helps us narrow it down as well. Let's compare it to the rule number 2. Ya veremos qué pasa. This translates as we'll see what happens later. Here we have veremos, which is the future form of the verb ver, to see. In the future we will see what happens, and therefore it makes more sense for us to translate ya as later and not now. There's no immediate urgency here. Just to be clear, this same sentence could be written as ya vamos a ver qué pasa. In this case, even though the verbs are not used in the future tense, we are still talking about the future plans as we are going to see what happens. And this is the way to talk about the future without learning the future tense, but I didn't tell you that. The next example is tenemos que irnos ya. Ya. We have to leave not just now, but right now. The urgency is also created by how emotional we are while we're saying something. The next example is ya hablaremos de eso. We will talk about this later. Again, a plan for the future. Now you probably have at least 2 questions. Your first question is probably why should we use ya to say now when we already have ahora? And that's right. The biggest difference between ya and ahora is again the sense of urgency. Both ya and ahora technically can sound like we need something urgently if you make it sound so, but ya is made specifically to show urgency compared to ahora. I found a good example to illustrate the difference. Carlos, tienes que limpiar tu cuarto. Ahora voy. No, ahora no. Ya. You could think of ya as right now in this example. This makes it sound more urgent than the regular ahora. Your second question is gonna be something like, why do you use the word probably so much in this section of the video? Is nothing certain anymore? Speak English much? Are you stupid? I will try to explain, but you have to bear with me for a moment. Imagine the situation where you were supposed to meet up with your friend in a bar for a friendly session of let's have a couple of Belgian beers until one of us pisses himself in an ambulance first. You come to the bar and your friend is being late. You call him, ask him where he is, and he tells you, and I quote, yeah, I'm coming now, yeah, I'm almost there, yeah, right, I'm already around the corner. Now, both you and I know that the fucker hasn't even left the house yet. In this case, even though it seems like he's saying he'll be there now, in reality we know he will come later, sometimes much later. But the issue is that it can actually be true, he may actually be coming to the bar now. So how do you know which one is it? A person can say, for example, "Я вой," which means I'm coming now, or it can mean I'm coming later. This bullshit doesn't follow any rules. The confusion here is not necessarily translation, but the interpretation. Officially, "Я вой" will always be translated as I'm coming now. But what it actually means will depend drastically on the context and how much you know the person. Use the rules 1 and 2 as the base, and the rest will depend on the context and your experience. This is one of the things that you will have to live through to fully understand. But that's half of the fun, isn't it? God, what a pretentious asshole. Now, before we proceed, I would like to briefly mention the Pareto Principle, also known as 80-20 rule, which states that if we focus our efforts on the most important 20% in anything we do, it will bring us the 80% of the results. I'm bringing this up to let you know that everything we've discussed up until this point about how to use "я" and or "TODAVÍA are the most important ideas and translations that are relatively easy to understand and which will bring you the most results on your Spanish journey. That is all to say that "я" has many other use cases that are more cultural and in most cases do not follow any rules, nasty definitions or translations. Everything we'll be discussing from this point of the video is very important, of course, but it will take you longer to grasp. How long will depend on how big of a priority learning Spanish is for you. For now, I encourage you to focus heavily on everything we've covered up until this point and only then start worrying about the more advanced ideas that we're about to cover. Use the video chapters to have a clear separation of the basic and advanced concepts. And now let's proceed to the advanced section of the video. You can use "ya que" to say since or because, but only when you're trying to justify a reason. Allow me to clarify. In English, we can use the word since to specify a time period. For example, I've been working here since 2010. In this case, you would use desde in Spanish, so what we have is he estado trabajando aquí desde 2010. Another way to use since is to justify or explain a reason for something. For example, since or because I'm the only one watching TV, pass me the remote. So the sentence would be translated as "Ya que soy el único que está viendo la tele, pásame el control remoto." Here's another example. "Ya que vas a casa de Andrés, dale este libro." Don't try to translate it directly and don't try to use the nasty definition of "ya." I mean, you kinda can, but for your own sanity, I would advise you to just memorize what you see in this advanced section of the video. In most cases, logic will not work. Advanced "ya" number 2. You can use "ya" to add emphasis to what you're saying. Let's look at these 3 sentences. None of these sentences have "ya" in them. They exist perfectly fine by themselves. Why complicate things further, am I right? Well, let's add "ya" to the mix and see what happens. Even if the translation did not change, what did change was the tone of your voice that added an emphasis to what you're saying. So in the first sentence without "ya" we said "I've heard you." But when "ya" came into the mix, we put more emotion into the whole sentence to make sure the person that you talk to really feels you. So it's not just "te he oído," "ya te he oído." I've really heard you, bro. Same goes to the other 2 sentences. Just listen to the difference in my voice. Lo sé, pero no puedo olvidarte. Ya lo sé, pero no puedo olvidarte. Me gustaría ser millonario. Ya me gustaría ser millonario. It adds more emotion and urgency to what you're saying. This is not easy to understand because the translation doesn't always change. Sometimes you may get lucky and "ya" in these cases could be translated as already or now, for example, but I wouldn't count on it. Let's proceed. When it comes to emphasis, there are 2 expressions that I would recommend you to memorize. "Ya puedes" and "que ya es decir." The reason being that at least when you see these 2, you'll be able to translate the sentence without thinking much. So here's that. First, "ya puedes" plus infinitive means you better. For example, "ya puedes ponerte a trabajar," you better stop working. "Ya puedes dejarme solo," you better leave me alone. Don't forget about the tone of the voice here. You need to put an emphasis on "ya puedes." And yes, literally it is translated as "you can," as if "can" meaning should. I think that's how we got to "you better," but I don't know, to be honest. "You can start working," as in "you should start working," which gives us "you better start working." Please let me know if you know more about this. The second expression is "que ya es decir," literally means that already is to say, but in English we usually use it as which is saying something. For example, Juan corre más rápido que yo, que es decir. Esa podría ser la peor idea que hayas tenido, que es decir. I hope this makes sense. Okay, enough about the emphasis. Advanced ya number 3. Ya can be used to show frustration. Similarly to emphasis, frustration is just another way to show emotion in anything we do. There are some very popular expressions that I personally use a lot. For example, ya basta, which literally means it is enough already, but people use it just to say enough when they are frustrated. Next one is ya está, which literally means it is already, but it is used to say that's it or it's done. For example, cocina en el horno durante 5 minutos y ya está. And that's it. You can also conjugate the verb estar here to refer to when someone is done with or ready for something. For example, ya estoy, así que vamos, which means I'm already here, so let's go. Or I'm ready, so let's go. In this example, ya estoy is referring to me being ready or being in a state of that's it. In this case, we're trying to say ya estoy aquí, I'm here, but there's no need to say aquí because ya estoy already conveys the idea. It's like asking someone, are you there yet? And you can answer, I am, without saying full phrase, I am here. I hope this makes sense. Advanced ya number 4. Ya can be used to reassure someone or to calm someone down. Basically, convey the idea that everything is gonna be okay. The one expression that seems to be popular here is ya verás, which literally means you will see. For example, ya verás que todo va a estar bien. Mi rutina te va a sorprender, ya verás. But it doesn't have to be only ya verás to reassure someone. Look at these examples. Ya llegará el momento. The time will come. Here we encourage the person to be patient and that one day everything is gonna be Gucci. Ya te sentirás mejor mañana. You'll feel better tomorrow. I don't know if you noticed, but every sentence that you see on the screen follows the rule ya plus verb in the future tense. Now, does that remind you of something? Let's compare it to the rule number 2. Ya veremos qué pasa. This translates as we'll see what happens later. Here we have veremos, which is the future form of the verb ver, to see. In the future, we will see what happens, and therefore it makes more sense for us to translate ya as later and not now. Oh my god, is that how I sound? But also, when we try to reassure someone, it usually implies that things will get better later, rather than immediately, right? We can add the word later to all our sentences on the screen, and it will fit perfectly. We are conveying the idea of later even if we are not always including the word itself. I'm just trying to show you that everything is connected in more ways than you can realize at the moment, even though it seems like we are talking about completely different things with each part of the video. It will take time to digest everything, I understand. But do not get discouraged. That's a real dick move. You can use ya to express agreement or disbelief, similar to how we say yeah, right. For example, ¿ganaste la lotería? Ya, yo soy Superman. It's also very popular to just double the ya, similar to how we double our yeah. For example, yeah, of course. Don't forget to make it sound like you are distrusting something. It's all about the tone of the voice and how you feel that matters. Okay, we're done with the hard part, and now I'd like to cover a couple of extra things that I think might be useful to you as well. Extra thing in number 1, the pronunciation. Ya can be pronounced differently depending on where you are in the Spanish-speaking world. This has nothing to do with the ya as a concept, but rather how the letter Y or Y works in Spanish. I have a full-ass video on this where we cover everything that has to do with it. For the sake of today's lesson, I'll only mention that in 90% of the countries, ya will be pronounced as, well, ya. Now let's get to the exceptions. In Argentina and Uruguay, ya is pronounced as sha. For example, ya basta will be pronounced as sha basta. In Colombia, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and some parts of Mexico even, it's popular to pronounce ya as a light sound ja. So instead of saying ya verás, people may say ya verás. Keep in mind that the spelling doesn't change, only the pronunciation. You don't have to worry about memorizing all this today. I'm just bringing this up to your attention so that you don't freak out if you hear something slightly out of ordinary. Again, I have the video that goes in depth with all this, so watch it. Extra thing in number 2, the placement of ya. You've probably already noticed that ya can sometimes be placed in the beginning of the sentence, sometimes at the end, and sometimes God knows where, to be honest. Now let's see what's up. The most common way to place ya is before the verb or in the beginning of the sentence. The same way we use it with the adverb already. So for example, to say I already finished my homework, we can do ya terminé mi tarea, or if you want to do the full sentence including the pronoun I, it would be yo ya terminé mi tarea, which is literally how we say it in English. Another example would be ya entiendo lo que pasó, which means I now understand what happened. In these two examples, we're just stating facts, we're not necessarily being emotional or impatient. This is the most common way to place ya. At the same time, when we do get emotional, it's also very popular to use ya in the beginning of the sentence. So for example, ya todo estará bien. Here ya emphasizes a change or reassurance. It's like saying from now on it will be fine. Or you could say ya cállate. Here ya adds urgency or impatience to the command. Emotions. The second option where to place ya is at the end of the sentence. This can be used to add more style or dramatic emphasis. For example, let's say we have the sentence ya lo entiendo. This is the normal everyday phrasing. Let's see what happens when we put ya at the end. Lo entiendo ya. The translation doesn't change, but you are putting more focus on the fact that you understand it now, thus making it sound more dramatic or final. Again, there is this difference in the tone of the voice. The first example sounds ya lo entiendo. The second one is lo entiendo ya. It's like instead of saying it doesn't matter, you say it matters not. It's the same thing, but we're focusing on the not at the end. We're not necessarily talking about emotions, just adding some drama, I guess. This should be enough to cover most of the situations for now. All this crap about the placement is nothing but some common guidelines, to which there are many exceptions and variations. There's not a single YouTube video that will teach you to just be a native Spanish speaker. You gotta engage with material, read books, watch movies, talk to a cat, I don't know. We're almost done with the video. There's only one thing left to do, that is go into the bonus section of the video, which is all about learning how to swear like a champ, in Spanish. So forget about ya, todavía, and whatever the hell and just relax, because the word for today is carajo. This is one of my favorite curse words in Spanish. It's used the same way we use the words fuck, damn, or hell when we use them to highlight surprise, frustration, or anger issues. For example, you can just exclaim carajo, which means fuck or damn it. Or maybe you are surprised by something. ¿Qué carajo es esto? What the hell is this? Or ¿qué carajo estás haciendo? What the hell are you doing? It's also very popular to say vete al carajo, go to hell. You get the idea. By the way, if you don't know what's going on right now, watch this video, where we discuss how cursing in Spanish makes you a legend. Now let's dive a little deeper. Etymology. I usually don't care about the stuff like this, but I'm older than I used to be, and my left knee works only on Tuesdays, so here we are, I guess. When I go to the Royal Spanish Academy, that is the institution that ensures the stability of the Spanish language, I can see that the word carajo originally meant penis. Now, I am as shocked as you are. I thought there were only 284 words that mean penis in Spanish, but apparently there's one more to learn. But I wouldn't worry too much about it, because somehow the word carajo evolved from penis to the lookout basket of the Spanish galleon type of ship, also known as a crow's nest. This is the place where sailors kept watch from a small basket-like platform high on a mast. It was the least desirable place to be for a sailor, because you'd get dizzy as hell. Since nobody ever wanted to be there, it was popular to be sent there as a punishment. So for example, the phrase vete al carajo originally meant go to the crow's nest, you maggot. But because of all the negative connotations that come with this part of the ship, the word carajo started to be associated more with words such as hell or damn. So now going to carajo means go to hell, and the rest is history. Some sources say that the word carajo comes from the Latin word caracolum, which means a small basket. Other sources say that caracolum means a stick or a rod. Don't quote me on any of that, because the internet is very vague on this word, but it does seem that both options are legit when it comes to modern translations. Now let's talk about the regional differences when it comes to using the word carajo. It seems that it's used similarly in most of the countries. The biggest difference lies in how vulgar it is. This may vary from country to country, but it doesn't matter. I suggest as always that you use these words sparingly and only with your friends and enemies. I don't make these videos with the hope that you start shouting carajo at random old people. One thing to note is that sometimes carajo can be used as a noun, which means a small amount or nothing. Like in a way to say that something is worthless, but in a vulgar fashion. For example, no entendí un carajo de lo que dijiste. Or let's say you're buying something, but your friend says, espera, esto no vale un carajo. Another example is no me importa un carajo, which is similar to how we can also say me vale verga if you watched my previous video. Alright, the video is over. It was long and you probably forgot why you clicked on it in the first place, so let's do a quick recap. Both ya and todavía are adverbs. We use ya to indicate a change of state, that is the hopeful change from something not happening to happening. Todavía, on the other hand, is used to show that no such change took place. If the homework is still being done 3 weeks after you started it, then you probably goddamn procrastinator. I mean, you should use todavía. Under normal circumstances, while you're following the logic of the nasty definitions, ya can be translated as already, yet, not anymore, no longer, any longer, now and later. Meanwhile, todavía can be translated as still and yet. These are normal, usual use cases of ya and todavía. I suggest you focus all your might on these basic principles before you can go further with these adverbs. Now, after you feel like you can handle these basic principles of ya and todavía, you can jump to the more advanced use cases that follow neither logic nor the definitions of these adverbs. We're talking about getting emotional as hell by using ya as ya que when you want to say since or because, when you want to add emphasis to what you're saying by using ya puedes or que ya es decir. Or you can use ya to show frustration, or to reassure someone or calm someone down, or to express agreement or disbelief. This stuff will take you longer to understand because it will require you to actually live the language. I wish you all the best, and you always have the safe space to vent on this channel. You are probably loved by someone somewhere. Show them your love by speaking Spanish like a champ. Oh, what the fuck am I saying? Also, 2 extra things we talked about was ya pronunciation and its placement in the world of Spanish language. And today's bonus curse word was carajo, which is used to show your anger issues the same way we use fuck or damn in English. That's it for today, for real this time. I hope it made some sense. I know it's not easy. Thank you for watching, and Daniel, you better not have given up on Spanish in this past 11 months. As you can see, guys, your questions can be answered if you leave a comment letting me know what's bothering you. So go ahead and do that, and maybe in the next 11 months you'll get a video of me losing my shit on camera again. See ya!